Alright, response video to VenomFangX Sean. And so I won't swear in this video because I'll see if I can actually get it posted if his video responds, and see if he actually responds like to a calm and considerate message. So we'll see. Give it a try anyway. Ooh, music.
In the last video, we were discussing some of the incongruities between consciousness and the brain. We were also talking...
Okay, yeah, well, let's talk about another incongruity, okay, just for the fun of it. So, like, look, if I was a disciple of this religion of yours, Jesus, I think it'd be really rational for me to say, in every circumstance, what would Jesus do? Because, I've read his book, and I'm pretty familiar with him. And so I'd ask that question, and I'd sort of understand, I could figure out what the appropriate thing to do in any circumstance would be by just simply asking that question. What would Jesus do? And so I'll ask you the question. Do you think Jesus would make videos on YouTube, with a bunch of special effects? Like, do you think that's how he would present his message? He would have a whole bunch of little, like, kittens and puppies dancing and do whatever, and Jesus would be pretty smart. I mean, he'd know how to get to people probably, and so he'd just manipulate their consciousnesses, right? He'd just try to seduce them into the word. He wouldn't just present his story, his truth, right? Because he wasn't a humble guy, he wasn't a modest guy. No, he liked to put on a good show, right?
Talking about meaning and purpose. How do we actually know if there's a meaning or purpose to life? Because many people will say, I make the meaning of my own life. And the thing that goes through my mind is...
Yeah, well, we can agree that people who say they just make it up, without using rationality or some other source, or, that would be really stupid. You can't just make it up. You do have to follow the facts, so to speak.
Why would you have to make a meaning if you already had one? And so I would like to propose, since I used to be an atheist, and now I'm a Christian...
you keep saying that, but I have my real doubts. Or else I think you're still an atheist. You've just concluded that this moral issue needs addressing, and that humans are so intellectually crippled that if you don't give them a God to tell them what the truth is, or to be moral or do right, that they aren't capable of doing it because they're too possessed by their desire and selfishness. And so you think it's just good for them. So the truth really doesn't matter to you. You're just playing people. That would be my speculation.
I believe that there is a God who made us with a reason. And I believe if we cooperate with that...
Yeah, and the reason was what? Because he wanted something to poke his godly stick at? What was the reason, Sean? I'm going to create, and then I'm going to kill it, and then I'm going to give it another chance, and I'll write a new covenant, and then I'll still throw it in the torches into hell again, and I'll beat it up, and I'll bring a savior, but I'll still torture it for a few thousand more years, and what for? So you can glean out 2 or 3 perfectly honorable humans to play pinochle forever with. Come on. What's it all about? Alfie.
And help achieve it, there will be rewards. However, there will also be...
Yes, rewards. That's where I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck on the rewards. The rewards will be that he won't torture me anymore. Is that it? But he'll send me to some place with golden streets and emeralds and crap, even though I got no use for that stuff. And I won't have a wife or a woman anymore, and I'll play hopscotch for 7 zillion years? Or are you a believer in the God will just reform the earth and we'll just go back to being a potato farmer or something, and play a fiddle or something? I mean, what's the big reward?
Consequences for failing to achieve it, or being an obstacle, a detriment, a disruption to it. So it's pretty...
Right, so I can curse you for being a disruption to the thing that I might cherish. So by that morality, right, I can have contempt for you, and I can curse you, or if I can write law that might even burn you at a stake because you're a detriment.
It's important to know if there's a God and what his purpose is. Now, I understand much of my audience are atheists, and I understand that.
Yeah, foolish, a really idiotic circumstance that is. We should do something about that, so most of your audience isn't atheist, because yeah, we're doing you a favor, and that's really kind of dumb of us.
If you disagree with the things I say, I was in your shoes. So I'm trying to reason with you.
Again, I don't believe that. There's no way you were ever an honest person, an honest atheist. If you were an atheist, you were and still are something else. Okay, because an honest person wouldn't play these word games.
Where you're at, and if you disagree, and you're certainly allowed to, I respect that, because I was there. I know what it's like.
Well, there's no point in respecting it. See, now 1 minute you talk about if you're a detriment, God will curse you to hell forever, eternal suffering just for being a detriment, and now you're saying you understand and respect being a detriment. I mean, that's you started this video by talking about contradiction. That's a contradiction, Sean.
And I want you guys to think about the things that I say, even if you don't agree, and that's really why I'm here. I'm here because
Yeah, right. You're here because I think you're playing a game. Okay? I mean, you're getting off on this thing. It's kind of good for your ego. You're going to be like, I'm going to be like a little, I'll be a Jimmy Swaggart, and, I don't know if you're going to go into the debauchery thing, but I'm thinking that, once you got enough money, you'll be laughing your way all the way to the bank, and, Jesus will be a forgotten memory. So, yeah, you're playing the game, Sean. Come on.
I am thoroughly convinced that there is a reason and a purpose, and I'd like to share the reasons that I believe that and continue to believe that.
Okay.
Now, if
Word
you ask
game
an
number one.
atheist who believes we evolved, now I know there are believers in God who believe we evolved. They're not the ones I'm talking about right now. If you're an atheist and you believe we evolved, I have two major problems. Number one, if you believe we evolved, and that the laws of nature are absolute, and that there is no God, then you must believe that we are obeying the laws of nature, both in body.
Yeah, we're obeying gravity. Thermodynamics. That's a tricky one, right? Because that's closed system. So let's not even go there. Because that's kind of sloppy law. It's not real law, actually, in science. Okay, it's habit and probability. But it's not one of those absolute laws you're talking about. But yeah, gravity's pretty absolute. So yeah, we're obeying gravity.
Body and mind. You believe consciousness is equivalent to the brain, and the brain, which is made of matter, obeys the laws of nature, which means the laws of nature dictate everything we think, say, and do.
Nah, they don't dictate it. The laws themselves don't dictate it. Obviously, previous circumstance dictates the next circumstance. There is cause and effect. That's what we believe in. Cause and effect. Not some eternal, always existing intelligence that never had to be caused. See, we believe in the cause and effect thing, and we follow it. We can see the trail of it in the science. We can see the evolution of the cause and the effects.
You can't really say anything or anyone is right or wrong, simply because the laws of nature are never right or wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, you must have heard the counter-argument to that 1,000 times, right? But you're still going to spout it because it works. It works on the ignorant who won't hear the counter-argument. But there's but it's an obviously, the concept of right and wrong is not dependent on a crude force. A crude force doesn't have to tell us what that is. Crude forces made us capable of filtering, having a brain that could filter out of the universe a thing called a fact and a truth. And then our brain could take those facts and turn it into ethics and morality and a definition of good and bad. We're capable of understanding those things. And the reason why we're capable is because we acquired a capacity to feel, a sentience, that many other animals possess. And it's not It's not unique to the human animal. And intelligence allows us to recognize that bad things can happen to organisms who can feel. And we can build a whole moral and ethical structure on top of that simple recognition of a simple basic fact. Just as your God thinks suffering is very important, atheists are capable of understanding that suffering is very important. I mean, obviously your God's threats of an eternal hell wouldn't mean anything if he didn't acknowledge the importance of suffering. And the fact that we can acknowledge it, we don't need God to tell us suffering matters. We can do our own experiments, Sean. I think you could understand that.
When a rock falls off a canyon, or when water goes over a waterfall, you don't say nature is good or bad, you just say it is. And so